right, welcome to another episode of Gas and Go with Snow. I am here with Eddie from Eddie's Rods and Customs. Hey, man.
Nice to meet you, man.
Thanks, man. Tell me what we got here right here. I mean, when I walked up, I saw a Lincoln, and I was like, okay, a Lincoln. And then I started looking a little closer, and I noticed the top. And I was like, that's a lot of work in that top. How did you come about this concept?
This concept was a picture of it was on a poster that Steve Stanford, the artist, drew for the Custom Chems of America, to kind of give the younger generation some ideas of what they could do with a late model car. Everybody thinks you got to have a custom, it's got to be a 50 Mercury or a 51 Fleetliner. They don't see the potential. He drew this in a poster, and it was a really tiny picture in the corner of a poster, and it was so small, he didn't do any other artwork. That was the only artwork he did.
All right.
So I took that picture, blew it up, I loved it, scaled it to a real car because he didn't have any build notes on it, which is what Steve usually does. He knows exactly what you're supposed to do.
Right. Well, you know what? People like that, they just see it.
Yeah.
Right? Me, I have to have a roadmap. But
yeah. Well, Steve and I have worked together before, so I can think along his lines. And Steve's one of those artists that he doesn't draw anything that can't be built. So I knew it was possible. It was just a matter of scaling everything from a tiny picture to a full-size car.
Okay, all right, well, let's start with the obvious. All right, the first thing I noticed was the top.
Yes.
Because this was, a sports car, a luxury sports car at the time, and so it would have came about right here and come down into there. So how much did you have to chop and cut, and what did you do to this top to get this look?
So the top from the side is 4 3/4 inches of a chop. Okay. The windshield had to be cut 3 inches because of the angle. You don't have to cut as much.
All right.
But then the windshield post and front cowl was cut, and we had to lay the front windshield post back 3 degrees.
Okay.
And then when we started building everything else, we realized the back window wasn't going to work because the back windows of the Lincoln have a little kick up.
All right.
So when you lay them down, it looks like a spoiler.
So you had to have a custom piece of glass made for this?
No, this is a 99 Sable stock rear window. The rear window defroster even works.
Really?
Yes.
So basically, you found the glass and then had to fab the rest of the car around it to make it fit.
Yes. Yeah. And that meant building the trunk up 3 inches here. Okay. And then building the whole reveal, and we had to kind of build our own. It didn't fit in there perfectly, so we had to build our own kick up to where it was all uniform and it fit down into the car. I didn't want anything to break up the line. Okay.
Now, you're talking about breaking up the lines. I'm looking at the fit and finish, and the gap is so nice and even all the way around. I mean, that might be better than it was from the factory.
It's better than it was from the factory, and these new cars, to get all that stuff right is hard because the metal isn't what we're used to using. Okay. We're used to using a heavier gauge metal. This is very light.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to dent, and it's hard to weld because it's such a thin gauge metal. But all these corners and stuff we had to build, so making them all fit, it was kind of a pain, but I didn't want it so close of a gap that you couldn't tell it wasn't a stock new car. You know what I mean?
Now, so what do we have going on here? What is that?
This is a hot match motorcycle gas tank filler, and you just pop it out, unscrew it, and there's your lid, but you just put it into a half a turn and it's flush.
No way.
That's a motorcycle piece.
Yeah.
Guys think that, you're building a car, you have to stick with car parts. I go to motorcycle shops all the time looking for inspiration.
If it works, it works, right?
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
So,
okay, now, let me tell you, this thing, like I said, it's not one of those colors that's like super, super flashy, but man, it stands out in a crowd. What is the color? The
color is House of Colors, Iceberg Blue Pearl, and then we tweaked it, we lightened it up with white pearl about 20%. Because I wanted it a little lighter than what they had. Yeah. I always pictured the car in like an icy blue pearl. I never pictured in the orange that it was drawn in.
Right.
So this is really close to the color I had in my mind.
Well, I mean, the color is unbelievable. All right, now we move over to the interior. The seats, man, that looks so comfortable. What is that wrapped in?
This is Alcantara. Suede is the same suede they use in Lamborghinis.
Okay.
Those are the stock seats, the stock console. Just everything's being covered in suede. And then we built the back surround, so when you close the doors, you've got a gray band going all the way around the inside of the car,
right?
And it follows through to the back. But in the back, the floor is meant to look like a luggage carrier with the ribs, but that's housing our amps and the electronics for the power doors and all that.
Audio and all that.
And then two 10-inch kicker woofers in the back, and then it's all kicker equipment all the way through the doors. And then we just painted the console. We just kind of tweaked the stock stuff, just so, you know, it looks factory, but not exactly.
Now,
good.
all the switches and all that stuff up there, that was all factory?
That's all factory. That's the monitoring, you know, tells you what mileage you're getting and how, you know, when your gas tank's empty or full, in case you can't read a regular gauge, you know, it tells you on a little screen.
Okay. All right.
This is one of my actual favorite pieces of the car, the mirrors.
Okay. So what did you have to do to, now is this a stock mirror that you had to adjust? What happened with the mirror?
It's a stock mirror, but when you put the stock mirror on the car, it looked like an elephant ear. So these mirrors are actually chopped 3/4 of an inch. I took 3/4 of an inch out of them right here,
and then
pancaked them, and they're plastic, so I used, you know, panel bonding adhesive to put them together, but they actually had to be chopped. And then this was all part of the door frame.
Okay.
So we had to leave the mirror on the door, and it had to open, but I needed this part of the door to end the top.
Right.
So then we made all the reveals to make that come apart, and then built the reveals, so because this is a plastic boot that went around them.
Okay.
So I made all this so that I wanted it to look like the mirrors grew out of the side of the car, and they weren't actually a separate part.
Yeah, because the original door would have been the door, and then this frame would have come out here, right? And then part of the post, right?
Yep.
And then it would have closed onto the post, right? So now, did you actually take that part of the door and graft it into the top?
Yeah.
And so the top comes farther over than it would have.
Well, then I skinned it. You know, there was a weld right here, but then I skinned the whole roof back to here with a 67 Delta 88 roof skin, because I wanted one continuous. I actually put 4 tops on this car, 4 top skins, and I couldn't get them to where I lifted it up on the rack one day and saw a little hump, and it was like, well, nobody's ever going to see it from that angle, but now I can't unsee it.
Right.
So that top's got to go. I got to do another one. Just part of car building, man.
Let's talk about wheels. What do you do here? I mean, is it like a custom made thing, or
they're custom made offset from Intro wheels?
Okay.
And we worked at the Intro quite a bit. And Jose made them for me from Intro, and but the problem with these Lincolns is you can't put a deep dish wheel on them because they have that front wheel drive look. Yeah. Because they're so wide. Yeah. Which gives this car the ride, but you can't put a real aggressive looking wheel on it. Right. So we got as much of an offset as we possibly could, with as wide a wheel as we could get. It's a 17.8. Or an 18.8, I'm sorry. Yeah. And then Diamondback Classic white walls, the pinstripe. I wanted the pinstripe white walls. I didn't want a big fat white wall.
No. The pinstripe definitely fits the car, because the car, initial design was to look sleek.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Now,
Gentleman's sports car.
Did you have to do anything to the front, or
okay, so when Steve drew the car, he drew the car with the hood coming clear down to the grill. Okay. This is a custom built Alumacraft grill from Dan Baker at Alumacraft. But he drew this, and the original car had a piece of stainless that ran right here, tied into the stainless that went around the corner markers. Right. And it was stationary. Okay. And then the hood flat met it when you closed it. Right. Well, his drawing had it coming clear down to the grill, so we had to find a way to mold the plastic hood to a stainless steel part and not get any kind of cracking. And we tried a bunch of different ways of doing it without, trying to experimenting, and before we found a method to do it. And then, but then by taking off the stainless, it pinches those headlights. Anything you can do to make everything look flatter is going to make the car look wider.
Yeah. Well, I'm really impressed with the fit and finish. Like I said, if you look along the lines, same gap at the top and the bottom, and clearly a lot of work went into this. So last thing I want to ask you about is the side of the car. Now, I noticed the trim at the belt line. It looks like it was a little lower than it was originally. How did you do that?
Okay, so we made that chrome trim, but the original chrome had a 3-inch rub strip all the way down the car, and it was sunk into the side of the body.
All right.
Well, so by pulling that, it wasn't just pulling off that rubber and having a flat body underneath it.
Yeah, because you'll have
it
an
had
indentation.
that little indentation.
Right.
So we had to build new panels that were rolled the same as the sides of the body, and make it all what I call barrel roll the side of the car, and then built our own chrome. So we built our own chrome for the sides, and then the chrome that goes in the bumpers we made, because that was all plastic. It was.
Well, hey, this thing, immaculate build, man. I am really impressed with the fit and finish and just the vision. So hey, thanks for showing it to me.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
So let me ask you this. If somebody wanted to get a custom interior, how could they reach you? How could they contact you?
I own Eddie's Rods and Customs in Pueblo, Colorado.
Great.
And I'm on the internet. Website is www.eddiesrodsandcustoms.com.
And how you spell rods?
R-O-D-S.
R-O-D-S, not Z. All right.
No, R-O-D-S-C-U-S-T-O-M-S.
Okay. All right.
And you can get a hold of me there and tell them Snow sent you.
There you go. Tell them Snow sent you. You get the player price. Eddie, thanks again, man. Dude,
I appreciate you very much.
Hey, we'll see you guys next time on Gas and Go with Snow.
Machine, cherry red paint, chrome wheels like gleam. Snow pulls out his camera, ready to roll. Gas and Go with Snow, time to steal the show.
We met through Steve Mank. How do you know Mank?
Oh, I've known Mank for a lot of years.
Yeah.
Through Tana, basically, because Tana and I and my wife showed together back in the 90s.
All right.
So we knew Tana before we knew Mank.
Okay, so Mank's wife is how you met him?
Him, yeah.
Okay, well, you know what? She's a gem. I love her. All right, so now, back to what we started out talking about.